What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Cultivating Conversations. I'm your host here, Farmer Jazz, bringing you straight up insights from innovators, entrepreneurs, and game changers out there making moves. But real quick, if you're loving the content, make sure you like, share, and hit the follow button. Your support helps keep these conversations cultivated. Now, let's get into today's episode. It's your host here, Farmer Jazz, and we have a great guest here, Brendon Roberts. How you doing today, Brendon?
Thanks for having me on the show, Farmer Jazz. It's a pleasure being here today to share insights with your viewers and your listeners from around the world.
It's a pleasure to have you on here as well. So, just from doing a little bit of my background research, it looks like you're very established in the cannabis industry, especially in cultivating. Could you do the guest a favor with giving a little intro of yourself and what you do?
Definitely. Well, I am Brendon Roberts, a celebrated cannabis agribusiness expert and award winning consultant. I am also the author of Cannabis Development and it's unveiling the intersection of cannabis, society, and the humanities. I grew up in the Caribbean region on a tiny island called Dominica, which is just about 70,000 in population. On the island, my dad was in the cannabis drug cartel ring, and he later received over 20 years for smuggling cannabis in the French territories. My mom was later murdered, so I grew up without any parents. However, I took a keen interest into agriculture. To help me get over the death of my mom and my father being in prison, plants provide me the necessary comfort and support. It's like I could understand that they are speaking to me. They provided me with a sense of accomplishment. They provided me with a sense of patience and understanding the struggle that goes into cultivation and having to wait a number of weeks to receive the bountiful harvest of a crop. It taught me the great accomplishment that could be derived from farming, in particular plant agriculture. And that led me to go on and to also pursue a degree at the local Dominica State College in Tropical Agricultural Sciences. I was also a farmer going through the Caribbean region and retailing my agricultural produce from plantains, bananas, mangoes, passion fruits, yams, dasheen, avocados, limes, lemons, grapefruit, and other citrus and agricultural products. From completing my post-secondary education in agricultural sciences, I decided to go and work for the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries in Dominica. There I spent almost a decade long teaching students in the area of agricultural sciences, reinforcing the theoretical component of agricultural discipline through practical applications. This made the program favorably rated. My students were also awarded for outstanding performance in agriculture under my leadership. In 2015, I then embarked on a journey to pursue further agricultural education in Canada, migrating from the Caribbean to Canada to attend Canada's premier agricultural sciences institution, the University of Guelph, a 150-year-old agricultural university. There, I was able to elevate my level of knowledge in the discipline of plant development by learning a lot of skills that can position me in the area of building an authority in the plant development world, both domestically here in Canada and in the international community. Upon completion of my Canadian agricultural degree in plant development, I was then able to go out and attract senior management roles all over corporate Canada, from the shores of Halifax, Nova Scotia, all the way to the Pacific coast of Coal Harbor, Vancouver. It has allowed me to amass significant experience in the realms of indoor cannabis cultivation, greenhouse cannabis cultivation, as well as outdoor cannabis cultivation, and including farm gate operations in cannabis industry and cultivation, which has now allowed me to share a lot of my experiences with the wider world through social media outlets, through my websites and my authority branding book, and other areas with organizations, governmental departments, CEOs, emerging leaders in the space of cannabis development in North America, Europe, Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America, South America, and the Caribbean region. Therefore, it has allowed me a very diversified portfolio in the specialization of plant development, where I concentrate on participatory development in the cannabis industry, women in cannabis and women and cannabis, gender inclusivity within the industry, senior citizens and cannabis development, minority and underrepresented communities in the overall discourse of industry advancement, as well as economic development, fostering canna tourism, and environmental stewardship. So these are some of the core areas and pillars within cannabis advancement that I am currently focusing and creating a thought leadership around these sort of pillars to provide strategic guidance and leadership for collaborative and collective outcomes within the cannabis space.
Oh wow. You've accomplished so much. Thank you for that share. Thank you for the background. There's so many things I want to tap in on that you shared. One of the first thing that jumped out to me was kind of how you utilize your career in horticulture as a way of therapy. I went through something that was pretty much similar. In 2018, my father had passed away, and I had actually just got a job working for indoor vertical farming facility called Crop One. One of the things that was so great about that space was, I'm just not focused on the computer because I was coming from an engineering background of project management, designing, and such. But this job gave me an opportunity to not only be on the computer, talking with GCs, um, and talking with the upper level management. It also gave me an opportunity to, go inside some of our enclosures and harvest. And one of the things that I always found inside of the containers was peace. I could put on my headphones. The air quality in there was really good. A lot of oxygen, wonderful smells coming from the plants, and that horticulture therapy is a great thing. What age was it that you started to kind of fall in love with agriculture and horticulture?
By the age of 6, I had already fallen in love with the plant development discipline, where even my grandmother bought me all the tools that a young kid could have for gardening. So I never looked back since I was the age of 6, and I've always stayed in the very same thing that I love doing, which is plant agriculture and plant development since that tender age of 6. So
Wow.
for more than 3/4 of my life, I have been immersed within agriculture and plant development, which has allowed me to formulate various skills at the mastery level to be able to afford plant development extension to others in the space. And that's why I went on to become a teacher within the Ministry of Education to extend my knowledge to the students and transfer those sort of skill set to impact areas of food insecurity on the island. And, these are some of the remarkable achievements taken out from that geographical location and bringing it up to Canada, where I had the opportunity to work with a more broad spectrum of diversified cultures and being able to implement a lot of best practices from coast to coast, working along with individuals within that plant development discipline, entrepreneurs, enthusiasts, training, building capacities and capabilities within the plant development workforce, encouraging greater forms of participatory development and initiatives within the realms and world of plant agriculture.
Yeah, so one of the thank you for that share, by the way. One of the things that you touched on was teaching. I know being in the agriculture space with all this, with a lot of people trending towards technology and computers, like how do you combat that? How are you keeping your students engaged and finding those students that want to be engaged in plants versus computers?
Great question. So there is sort of two ways of creating an immersive experience and captivating engagement within student participation. And number one, I love to call what we call the theoretical component of the curriculum, and being able to be in the classroom, initiate thought-provoking discussions, going through various textbook at the stage of agricultural and plant development education for the students level, so that we have more in-depth research. But not only bringing forth the subject in an engaging manner through the classroom setting, that's just the first component. The second component would be to reinforce these theoretical component through practical or pragmatic applications or demonstrations. And that's where the students' learning are enhanced even more, because what was learned in the classroom setting is further getting reinforced on the farm-based setting, which provides students the plethora of opportunities to get their hands in the soil, to work with different composts and manures, to understand nutrition and the different plant elements that are needed to support healthy growth and development. But not only stops there, to also understand aftercare practices, how to take care of the seedlings or the crop. In some cases, provide trellising if it's tomatoes, cucumbers, and other vegetables or crops which may need support. And providing them with a skill set so that they can combat food insecurity. They can become self-sufficient. They can become self-sustainant. They can learn that the food system is an integral component to us as human beings. But most importantly, teach them that agriculture is also another avenue to provide economic resources to help elevate their standard of living. So crops are sold, and in exchange for crops getting sold, we generate income. And I even recall at the school level, I would call students at the front of the assembly, because the students under my programs also receive a stipend of up to 15% from the profits generated from the farm. So being a student that is in the program, coming to high school, being called at the front of the assembly, receiving a pay packet for their contributions in the program, because a lot of them would come to the program as well after school hours, even come on the weekends. So it generated great interest among students when you can show them, hey, we can work on small things that can grow and blossom into beautiful things. And having students or enthusiasts see the level of their work and engagement unfolding before their eyes, manifesting day after day, that definitely raises the level of enthusiasm in them, you know, allowing them even at times to even skip other teachers' classes just to be in Mr. Roberts' class. And I would tell them, well, your other classes are also significant and important because being a farmer is one. We have to be able to market. We have to be able to communicate. You know, we have to be able to learn the business aspect of it and all the different subjects which you're exposed to. You're going to extrapolate key components that you can take and combine with your plant development discipline to help you elevate the standard of higher learning and education, but most importantly, applied knowledge is what gives you the absolute edge in today's society. It's not just about learning about it and having a few practices at the school level and at the farm level, but moving beyond the laboratory, applying it in your everyday life, making it part and parcel of your livelihood. That has been able to favorably generate great interest among students when they can see the direct proceeds that are generated from farming can allow them to charter a career path.
Thank you for that. And I like the part of you shared. You actually shared this a little earlier about like how farming kind of adjusts your way of life because you if you look at the process of a plant, germination, vegetative stage, then it goes to a flowering process, and after that, seeding that comes from that after, and then you got to re-prepare the ground. So it kind of gives you it prepares you to be ready for different seasons, different phases in life as well. So during germination phase, you kind of want things to be extremely clean. You want so that you can have healthy plantlets. Vegetative stage, you're kind of making sure that that plant develops enough so that you can kind of see where the fruits are going to be and that it's stable for that next phase. And then when you're in flowering phase, you got to make sure you feed the plant what it needs and remove what it doesn't so that all that energy can be going into the plant. And then seed, you want to make sure that you have some seeds for the next season. And I like how you kind of incorporate that in your teaching because I definitely agree with what you're doing. And you get to not only use the theoretical that you learn in the classroom, but you can honestly instantaneously go out and practice that. A lot of people who get into farming, you always aren't the best farmer. A couple plants die, but when that plant dies, that gives you motivation to make sure the next set of plants don't die because you've learned something. And as you're learning, you're practicing new things. So it's like a constant growth of applied knowledge, as you said. And then also at the end of it, you get a harvest, something that you can sell, and you get some money from that. You also learn experiences from that. Notice that it's just not outdoors and or in the cultivation facility. Now you got to go out and do business. So it incorporates like everything that you need in business to like kind of invigorate a student. I kind of like how you broke that down. My
And I
next
always
question.
love to
I'm
I
sorry.
always love to remind people before you move to the next question that farming is one of the sectors that involves one of the greatest risks associated. We battle with elements of the weather, sort of inclement weather, too much sun, plenty rain. We battle with pest, diseases, virus, fungus, you know. Um, and this poses a lot of strain on the intensive farming systems. We also know that farming is very labor intensive. It requires some physical demand from the individual getting themselves involved and combining all of those together, to help raise the level of participation, looking at all those risks. You don't have parents telling their children, go be farmers. You have them saying, go be a doctor, go be a lawyer, but the doctor and the lawyers also have to eat. And we, the farmers, have to provide food on the table in the supermarkets so that the doctors and the lawyers can also, replenish their system healthily. So farming has always been an important aspect, and it's not easy work, but there are many incentives that can be provided to allow students and enthusiasts to take a greater interest level within the area of farming, plant development, and growing it out into a business.
Yes. So my next question was about, you worked in many different places doing agriculture, and I want to hear some of the things you learned doing agriculture in a bunch of different places. Like I know doing growing in the tropics is a little easier. You got lush ground, with the sun outside, so you can grow almost year round. And then transferring over to a place like Canada, like you don't get that much time outdoors to grow, so you have to move things indoors. So, and you talked about growing in greenhouses, outdoors, and indoors situations. So I kind of want to hear some of the things you learned um, working in those many different places.
Learning is continuous, ever evolving, and ever changing in this rapid landscape of plant development. And I have learned and continue to learn up to this day. As you mentioned, temperate regions such as North America, during the winter, growing is taking place on the indoors. You have to be able to ensure that your environment is properly maintained. You have to be able to know that the outside environment is going to have some sort of predisposing factor on how the inside of your grow rooms may function, and probably having the proper apparatus, equipment, mechanisms in place to maintain parameters, to control temperature, to control humidity. It's paramount to indoor farming. When farming on the outdoors, learning about the soil, learning about soil fertility, learning about the environment, studying the environment and the ecology, knowing what varieties of crops or even cannabis that may be useful to your particular environment or geographical location. Understanding all of these attributes are significantly important. But most importantly, sharing knowledge, collaborating. One of the things that I normally do, particularly when started growing outdoors in Canada, it was in the Okanagan, West Kootenay boundary region. I would go probably for the first few weeks and speak to all the farmers, visit their farms, understand their challenges, because coming in the same geographical region, you may experience similarities. And building up your network is important for collective goals and shared outcomes, improving the processes, the systems, and the products. So liaisoning with farmers, irrigation companies, innovators, visiting their farms, learning about their processes, it provides a site map into your own projects as to how you're going to go about strategically providing value and exponentially growing out your own endeavors. And I always tell people never underestimate the value of relationships, particularly in the domain of agri-business. No man or woman is an island, and as we pointed out, farming is one of the sectors with the most adverse risks associated with it. Therefore, developing a community and creating collaborative channels of network is vital, not only for personal growth, but also for professional development. And, these are just some of the few tangible examples. If any business owner or any student or any plant enthusiast is listening to this recording today, that I would advise them on is always be prepared to strengthen your network capacities and capabilities, because your network essentially becomes a business resource that can assist and greatly push you and the farm beyond barriers.
Yes, thank you for that share. We talked a lot about some of the, excuse me, we talked about a lot of the teaching, some of your experience working on the farms. I want to get into specifically some of the cannabis initiatives you're part of. Could you explain what Ganja Papa Solutions is, and what you've been doing with that?
Yes, so I founded two companies: Ganja Papa Solutions, which is a cannabis cultivation company focused on enriching clients in the space of facility extension and services, meaning that we're a consultation organization providing advice and strategic consultancy for the industry. For example, I would go out and spend time with my clients. If it's a big enough project, get a resident close to the facility, work one on one with them, and help them ascertain success in their areas of endeavors within cultivation. And this has become a very lucrative skill to have, because majority of farms are strategically positioned within rural communities. And because of their geographical location, they may not always have the expertise that they need within close proximity to assist them reach their desired goals, dreams, and outcomes. Therefore, there is where I come in. I am bridging the gap between their location, where people would not normally go to assist them because of the rural nature based on their geographical region, and work along with them cordially and the team to help them achieve the level of profitability and their dreams that they aspired to achieve on their journey. So that's where Ganja Papa Solution comes in, and we have worked with a number of facilities, a 480,000 square foot facility in New Brunswick, a 250,000 square foot facility in Nova Scotia, a 290-acre outdoor farm in British Columbia, a farm gate facility, square foot in the province of British Columbia, and numerous projects. We also provide strategic advertising, partnerships, promotions to various businesses that have developed innovation, particularly for the plant agriculture, plant development domain. And that allows me to help the farms that I am assisting even more greatly, because now we can infuse technology within that intersection of farming to help elevate the level of returns and provide more forms of greater stability for the foreseeable future of these farms. And the second business that I created was a non-profit organization called the Universal Plant Medicine Association. As I said, it's a charity that received status under the Canadian Revenue Agency in February of 2023. It was registered in the year of 2022, and its goal is to assist students in the area of plant medicine research and application. For example, we recently assisted a student from South Africa collecting funds, creating an initiative for fundraising to assist a young student in the area of plant biotechnology to present his research in Southeast Asia. And we have received global participation coming out from that venture and exceeded our goal for the young man. For example, we had in North America 76% of the contributions came out from North America, with over 13 donations from the United States and roughly around 10 donations from Canada. In Europe, we received over 11% of the total donations coming out from the European region. In Africa, we received about 6% of the overall donation received coming out from the Africa continent. Southeast Asia also chipped in with 2%. Countries like Australia also chipped in as well. So we had a global participation of nations, including the Caribbean, making 13 countries within 6 geographical regions to help support the area of plant medicine development and cannabis research. So This is case studies that has been pioneered by myself, understanding plant development and receiving the education in that area, how to go out there and help other regions in developing, promoting, branding, but most importantly, making their organization and initiative successful so that they can have a stable livelihood from the area of plant agriculture.
Wow. I like how you bringing this global. Is this information once the student goes through the research, is this information available to other individuals, or is it just like, is it privatized?
Well, yes, the students' research is also being published in the agricultural conference abstract book. So it's information now that will be widely available. And it's one of the first time that cannabis will be featured in Agrico, the International Conference on Agriculture in Southeast Asia, the 11th annual conference. Because cannabis was largely prohibited through the war on drugs, meaning that the crop doesn't have the same level of research as corn, canola, potatoes, and many other crops that provides economies of scale here for us within North America and many parts of the world. And having cannabis inculcated into an agricultural book featured as a cash crop is a momentous occasion, and the prospects for the foreseeable future looks bright in regards to zooming on cannabis on a crop that has multiple and diverse benefits for all of mankind.
Yeah, some of the benefits that it has, like works in building materials, oil. You can make oil from it. There's resins you can make from it to supplement the abundance of plastic that we're using. But the one thing that I like that you mentioned, that you called it plant medicine. Could you dive into why you call it plant medicine and what are some of the benefits of cannabis?
Well, growing up in the Caribbean region, cannabis was always grandma and great grandma plant medicine to use. For example, my great grandma would suffer from arthritis, where you'd be getting a lot of aches in the bones, and crushing the roots of the cannabis plant, adding a little bit of salt and tying it overnight definitely provided her great relief. You know, um, in terms of depression, anxiety, we have number of individuals who consume cannabis. Just look at the story that I gave you. The plant has actually helped even to save my life, bringing me closer to the understanding of plant development and agriculture, overcoming a tumultuous situation in my life, like the death of my mom, being able to get refuge in a plant where it can provide you that level of understanding, creativity, and sharp focus has definitely done wonders in my life as my own personal testament. And I can sit here before you today, even in education. Cannabis has assisted me. I doubled my course load when I was going at the university as an international student here in North America because we pay, 3 to 4 times the amount as the domestic students. And without the aid of cannabis, I would not have been able to do that. Everybody endocrine system functions independently and is unique in its own way. But cannabis also helps me with a lot of memory retention. So I could do 2 semesters of work at the university level here in North America in 1 semester and still come out with an A plus cumulative average. And this is all thanks to cannabis, being able to stay up wee hours in the morning, consuming, studying, providing sharp focus and insight and creativity. I don't think that I would have been blessed with another avenue to spark up so much intrinsic motivation in which cannabis has been able to provide me.
Thank you for that. What else? What do you see for the future of cannabis? It's come from being demonized and the war on drugs, but now we're starting to see a lot of trending upwards. It's starting to be legal, a lot of places recreational and medicinally. Um, what are you kind of seeing for the future of cannabis? Or what would you like
Well,
to
that
see?
ties in nicely with your last question. You know, harm reduction. That's number one. Our case basis for cannabis is pretty much using cannabis in society to reduce the level of harms, suicides, people who might be suffering from depression, people who might have cancer and suffering from lack of appetite, people who might be suffering from insomnia, veterans that are suffering from PTSD. Cannabis can be used as a therapeutic modality for numerous alignments, including epilepsy and help to curtail seizures among children and adults, improving the quality of life for seniors who are in their twilight years. Um, the future for cannabis is immensely promising, with more states and the global community, including countries, continues to legalize cannabis across the geopolitical spectrum. Cannabis, no doubt, will play an integral part in providing an essential source of medicine and therapeutic relief for our growing population, inching closer to 9 billion globally.
Wow. And it's great to hear all those benefits that cannabis can bring to the people because we definitely need it. There's a lot of sickness going on out here in the world. But one of the things I want to start to get into is hearing about some of the strains that you like to grow. What are some of the strains that you've grown before? What are some of the strains that you like to consume?
I've grown a number of different strains, hundreds. And some of my favorite within the last growing cycle and season, I would say Grim Glue. This was produced by a breeder, Mr. Rick, as better known as Mr. Soul in the United States. It's a very good breeder, and I found that strain in terms of the growth rate very quick, the yield in a specific time frame or one of the shortest time frame provides very good yield in a short time frame, So makes a good case basis to assist facilities with profitability. You know, grows very quickly, heals very nice in the shortest period of time, grim glue. I also love runs. I also got from Life Cycle Botanics. This is another fabulous strain. Grows very quickly, heals very largely, and in the short space of time is able to produce a lot of bud biomass, which translate into more economic prosperity. So my good buddy from Vancouver Island, Mark, the owner of Life Cycle Botanics, he has some very good strains. I have grown quite a number, including their citric, which is a citrus gassy strain, high in THC and also high terpene profiles. This has also provided great relief. It is a little bit sativa leaning and dominant and has provided great relief for consumers and patients that suffer from chronic pains and alignments. We also have, King Kush. That's another favorite one of mine to grow because it provides a lovely sort of Afghani style bud, you know, grown about a 50-50 in terms of hybrid sativa and indica leaning, nice balanced split, and provides very good flavor, but most importantly, helps to organize a group presentation if you're bringing in cannabis tourists to tour your facility where they can see lovely, well shipped and uniform canopies. So, our breeding over the last few years has definitely elevated the level of which strains we're bringing to market. And we have seen huge potential for crops that provides great immunity to pests, diseases, viruses, and still completes its life cycle in a relative acceptable period. That definitely assists the farmer and it also assists the breeder because it provides insights and intelligence into what goes behind the scenes and how it can be improved and how it can be made better. Everybody loves to grow weed, but it takes a special business formula to grow weed and to get it to become profitable and successful in that venture. Because it's not only growing and looking at it, but are you able to recoup the investment, particularly if you're growing it on the indoors or in greenhouse environments, probably where you might utilize artificial lighting or supplementary lighting, HVAC systems, and other equipment and apparatus that might work into your fixed budget or capital budget, which makes it a little bit more expensive um, for your ventures, particularly in startups within the industry.
Yeah, that's some great information, and this has been a this has been a great interview. I've been just consuming so much information as you've been speaking, and I definitely appreciate your time. Um, as we're wrapping up here, I always like to ask the guests to sow a seed of inspiration to the listeners. We got a bunch of people that listen from a lot of backgrounds. Um, and I want you to sow a seed of inspiration to maybe some up and coming cultivators or some people that may be interested in farming or cannabis growing.
Very good. I definitely love to say that farming is a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of commitment, dedication, and resilience to remain self determined, to achieve high standards, and to work collaboratively with others. And before I leave, I would love to leave the audience with one of my favorite quotes growing up as a young teenage boy in farming. One, you inspire. Two, you aspire after you inspire. Three, after you aspire, you perspire. And four, after you perspire, you earn the right to retire. And five, after you retire, it's inevitable we all will expire. So inspire, aspire, perspire. After you perspire, you retire, and then we all will expire. So this would be my closing remarks on the show today, Mr. Farmer Jazz. Thanks for having me. And I would always tell the viewers, go and get a copy of my cannabis development book. It's a very thick 400-page book that provides detailed insights as to how we can also elevate the discipline of cannabis within the social sciences. The book can be found on www.ganjapapaworld.com. www.ganjapapaworld.com or GPS, Ganja Papa Solutions for short, will take you to Ganja Papa World. And thanks for having me. I have enjoyed this conversation here today, and I wish you all happy growing and see you next time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your share. This has been Cultivating Conversations with your host here, Farmer Jazz and Brendon Roberts. Y'all go out and get that book. I just looked up the link myself to get myself a copy. And thank you again for your time. Peace.